him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em a gob, it's time for the only news that matters on Kiss Wednesday. And Kiss co-founder Gene Simmons have provided further detail of the band's upcoming unmasked appearance at the Kiss Army Storms Vegas event, emphasizing that it will be an informal fan-driven gathering rather than a traditional Kiss concert, and reiterates the band's commitment to no further touring. He also addressed the possibility of original members Ace Frehley and Peter Criss participating, deeming a full reunion dreamland. The three-day event celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Kiss Army Fan Club is scheduled for November 14th through the 16th, 2025 at Virgin Hotel Las Vegas. It will mark the band's first significant appearance since the End of the Road farewell tour concluding in December of 2023. Speaking in a new interview with Greg Schmidt of Noise in the Attic, Gene Simmons sought to manage expectations. He says, "People misunderstand what it is. The Virgin event in November is really the fans, the Kiss Army. They're taking over a hotel. This ain't a concert. No makeup. Certainly not. We promised we would never do that again. No touring." Yeah, remember when he promised that back in in the year 2000? Anyway, regarding the band's involvement, he added, "We'll get up and jam. In fact, I'm not even sure how many of us are going to be there. I know Paul Stanley of Kiss and I are going to be there. I think Tommy Thayer's going to come because we need catering. But former Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick might pop in. It's very informal. You know, Bruce Kulick and Tommy Thayer has already been announced, and he's here going, oh, they may show up. So you might as well say Ace and Peter will show up, right? But no. When asked if original members Ace Frehley and Peter Criss would be welcome to appear, Simmons simply said, of course. However, he tempted any hopes of a full reunion with the classic lineup. After Schmidt noticed that all original members are still living, Gene Simmons responded, I like the way you think, but it's dreamland, my friend. It's not how life works. You can lead a horse to water, but that's all you can do. I personally invited Ace and Peter to jump up on stage with us at Madison Square Garden. Hey, why don't you invite him on the show? And I did, but they said no. I want this and I want that. Well, you can't have that. But join us to celebrate the beginning for free. Well, I make all the money. These sentiments echo comments Simmons made earlier in May to Jim Kerr on New York's Q104.3. He stressed that Kiss had promised Pop House, the company that acquired the intellectual property, that they would never tour again, believing it's best to get out of the ring while on top. That's the funniest thing, while on top. Yeah, they were on top back in 2000. Remember they would say that? We're going out on top. 23 years later, we're going out on top again. So Simmons keeps on. So he goes, so that's what we're doing. We are showing up for a fan-run event. It's not a fan-run event. The fans are not running this shit. Isn't it Pop House? Oh, whatever. It's really for the fans. There'll be lots of questions. If you want a back rub or anything, but it's not a Kiss concert. We will jump up and jam. But certainly we are not bringing the flying rigs and the 60 people on the crew and jets and all that stuff. Other bands will pop up on stage and stuff. but it's really a chance to be more intimate with the fans. Actually, to be cornball about it to our bosses. You know, it's weird how people fall for this shit. Anyway, because without the fans, I would surely have been asking the next person in line, would you like some fries with that? Yeah, but you seem to forget that when it comes to the fans. Anyway, that's the story. So much to talk about. All right, first of all, this Kiss Storm's Vegas shit was not billed as not a concert or not nothing. It was billed as they were going to play without makeup and they were going to have a couple of special guests. Then when the people all bought it, and I believe it sold out, bam, hey, it's not a concert. Ridiculous. And as far as Ace and Peter, you know, I asked them in December last 2023 to join us on the farewell tour, you know, to celebrate Kiss. But they wanted this and they wanted that. And it's not possible. That's not the way it works. Actually, it is the way it works, Gene. Because would you go do those final Kiss shows for free, for the same fee that you're paying Ace and Peter? Would you do that for your fans / bosses? And both Ace and Peter did say back then, we never got a call from Gene. Gene never asked them. But Gene spins it to the media to make them look bad. But never, you know, never one admitting, hey, man, we weren't going to pay them. Or if we were, it's going to be very little. They would have made less than Tommy Thayer. And you think they would want to do that? I mean, you talk about so much respect and, oh, if Ace and, well, Paul loves to say, if it wasn't for Ace and Peter, we would have never became big. But with Ace and Peter in the band, we wouldn't last. Yeah, exactly. That's why you did a farewell tour. So they couldn't last. And, you know, and also they make it look like they were both kicked out of the band. Ace never quit Kiss. Never. Peter did it in the farewell tour 2000, but he came back, so whatever. But Ace quit Kiss both times. He said he had to quit back in '82 because if he kept on in Kiss, he was going to die. And Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley both agreed with that. But then, in 2001, after the farewell tour, they wanted to go out on tour again with Aerosmith. And Ace said, hey, no. We had a farewell tour for the fans. I'm not coming back. He was saying that in interviews. I thought it was a farewell tour. That's why I didn't want to tour after that. I didn't want to, like, dupe the fans. Now, of course, Ace has changed his tune since then because, you know, he's got a lot of money problems and with the IRS and stuff. And I hear a gambling problem, whatever. Whatever the case may be. Where, boy, that money would have came in good before the end of the road tour, which he wanted to be part of. But that had a lot to do with Rachel. You know, she pushed him. Because after that, when they asked him to rejoin Kiss, he's like, I'll do it for the money. But he ain't asking or begging. He's just putting it out there. And yeah, man, with a lot of money, he would totally do it. But as far as this show, man, how can they not play a show now? After all these people traveling from all around the world to go see Kiss Unmasked. You know they're going to play, but are they going to rehearse for it? It's a big question mark because Gene is making it look like they ain't going to play at all. Or they might jam here and there, which means there ain't going to be no rehearsals for this. Whatever, man. I hope you all still enjoy it. I hope none of you are as pissed as I would have been if I bought tickets for this shit. You know, hopefully you got a better head on your shoulders than me and not get so pissed off. And be a true Kiss twat, you know? That you eat everything they shovel at you. Oh my God, Kiss! Anyway, yeah, there you go. Gene now goes back on the Storm Vegas and throws out the same thing again. We asked you, Ace and Paul, Peter, We asked Ace and Peter to come join us, but they said no. Never throws in the part where, now I ain't giving them anything. They're not getting paid for it. And if it is, it's going to be way less. Less than a third of what I'm going to make that night. For the fans, for my bosses. My boss's money is not good for Ace and Peter, who we before said we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Yeah, I have no respect for them. I have respect for my boss's money. It's only good for me and Paul Stanley of Kiss, and we'll throw some crumbs at Eric and Tommy. And Eric, that's another thing. What a big mystery about Eric not being there. I know there's a lot of, I frequent a few Kiss podcasts. And I've heard it has to do with Pop House and only Gene and Paul are part of Kiss and this and that. But, yeah, it's weird that he's not there. But what do you all think? Leave it in the comments below. And thank you for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.